if you can't think outside the box, you're not going to win, because everyone's always going to have more money than you. Everyone's always going to have more resources than you, more staff, more time. Other people have started before you. If you don't think outside the box, it's going to be hard to win.
And what time do you wake up now, Neil, after that you're taking care of your children too? So I think earlier you said 6 a.m. in the morning. So what's the time today?
Roughly around 5:30 is when they wake up.
That's nice. And the first thing, is there any affirmation that you practice, any gratitude journal,
Nope.
nothing like that? That's I know what you do. You keep your laptop next to you, and the first thing that you do is you wake up with your laptop. Yes?
Yep.
Nice. I like that. That's Neil Patel for you, ladies and gentlemen, who is equally addicted as me to his phone and laptop. So let's have some fun conversation with him today. Okay, Neil, first question to you today. Work-life balance. A digital marketing person has this challenge. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, digital marketer, it's not just digital marketers. Everyone has a work-life balance if you truly love what you're doing and you want to do well at it. Because if you want to do well at it, you got to put in tons of time and energy and effort into it. So you're not going to have the work-life balance that you want, especially at the beginning. See, later on in your career, sure, you can create more of a work-life balance, but it is very hard to do so when you're starting off and you want to climb to the top, whether it's as an entrepreneur or whether it is in a profession working for another company. And even later on in your career, sure, you can create more of a balance, but in many cases, you'll find that you're still working a lot of hours and you may not have the balance that some of your friends have. It's the sacrifice of trying to do well in any profession. It's not what
Right.
people want to hear, but it's the truth.
Cool. So you're trying to say work is life.
Work is life, and yes, you need to create time for your family and other things in life. But I think the mistake people make, forget this concept of work-life balance. I know a lot of people have work-life balance, but when their kids are there and they want to play with them, they just turn on the TV. I think of life as whatever you do, put in 110%. So when you spend time with your kids, make it count. When you are hanging out with your friends, make it count, pay attention, really be there for them. When you're working, again, make it count. And I think that's the mistake people have, is they think work-life balance is all about putting in hours into different buckets. But when they put in these hours into different buckets, they're not really making those hours count, and they're very inefficient, and they're not getting much value out of that time.
Wow. I totally agree to what you just said. You said that when you're beginning your career, there's no work-life balance, and you need to make those sacrifices so that you can have enough work-life balance as with time. So that's very good thought up there. Um, Neil, I strongly believe that people who are digitally addicted, they make good digital marketers. How true is that fact?
Not necessarily. I found that the people who make the best digital marketers are the ones who tend to be very creative, the ones who
Right.
think outside the box. Just because you're familiar with the digital landscape or how things work, if you can't think outside the box, you're not going to win, because everyone's always going to have more money than you. Everyone's always going to have more resources than you, more staff, more time. Other people have started before you. If you don't think outside the box, it's going to be hard to win. It's that simple.
So creativity is the key to become a good digital marketer.
Yes.
And how can someone learn creativity?
That I don't know. I just think, you know, I honestly don't have the answer to that. I think for a lot of people, it's in them or it's not. It's just like, how do you teach that little kid, hey, you want to go buy this bicycle? You need to make money? Go create lemonade and sell it, to all your neighbors. That kind of stuff is hard to teach. It's just like some people have it in them, some people don't. What I found that can help spur some creativity, it doesn't mean you're naturally going to be creative, is to read, look at examples of what other people are doing, study competitors, study people in different industries, because it'll give you ideas in marketing, and you can take some of the concepts that work for other people in different industries and apply it to yours.
That's nice. Let's say, Neil, if someone is good at communication, is not good at communication, all right? Which stream of digital do you recommend? Because a lot of people who wants to become digital marketers in India, they don't really have good communication skills. And I believe along with creativity that you have added right now, communication is equally important. Now let's say if they're not good at communication, which streams of digital do you think they should be looking into?
None. You need to communicate well for any profession. It doesn't matter if it's digital or not digital. But the beautiful part about communication is it's much easier to fix than creativity. So don't go to sleep every night until all your emails are answered. Put Slack, Skype, text messaging, etc., all on your phone, WhatsApp. So when people message you, have the notifications, make time to respond within 5, 10, 15 minutes, 30 at the latest, or hour at the latest if you're in a meeting. But just get into a habit that you need to check your messages and respond each and every single day. If you still struggle with that, then what I recommend doing is within your calendar, block off 10 minutes out of every single hour just to communicate with people. So if you start practicing some of these things, you can get better at communicating. That's really easy to fix. Creativity is much harder, but communication, it can be fixed. And then you can, in theory, do any form of digital marketing or anything.
Awesome. So when I meant communication, I loved your understanding of communication. But when I meant communication here, I meant a lot of people have poor English. They're not really good at that. And that's where the lack is. For a lot of people who are wanting to become digital marketers, people who don't have great English communication skills, what do you recommend to them? That's my question.
Focus on the language that you know. So in India, there's a lot of different dialects, right? But a lot of
Right.
people know Hindi. Hindi is a great language to market in. Who says you have to market in English? A lot of people in this world speak Hindi. So figure out the languages that you are proficient at, and you can do any form of digital marketing within there. And carve your niche, because people will want marketers who specialize in specific languages. Marketing is global. It's not, hey, we just market in English. Majority of the world does not speak English.
Right. Okay, Neil, there's always an uncertainty in this world right now with respect to the changes the digital world brings to us. How does one deal with the uncertainty? Like right from the uncertainty of algorithms, be it search algorithms, be it Instagram algorithms, there's always an uncertainty. How do you deal with that? And what is your tip for people on dealing with these uncertainties?
Yeah, so it's funny. Someone actually asked me this yesterday, and I was talking about my favorite, marketing channel. And I told them, and they're like, "Oh, is it SEO?" And I'm like, "No, my favorite marketing channel is Omnichannel marketing." And they're like, "Which one is Omnichannel?" I'm like, "It's all of them." See, what I've learned over the years is algorithms change. Sometimes they benefit you, but majority of the times they don't favor you. And you can't control if Instagram's going to change your algorithm, or Facebook or Google or YouTube or any other platform out there. But what you can do is use each and every single platform out there and use it to your advantage. If the algorithm changes and it doesn't work as well, well, use it till as much as it works. If you were making, $100,000 in revenue a month from one channel, but it went down to 50, 50 is better than nothing. Try to adapt, try to fix it, and try to get it back up, but accept it for what it is, even though you're trying to adapt, and take the approach that channels are going to change. It's going to be harder for you, but you need to keep adding more and more channels, and you're not going to make the majority of your revenue from one of them, but every little bit adds up. You got to chip away at it.
Wow, this is a really cool thought up there, Neil. Neil, right now in India, D2C market is fairly booming up big time. After COVID, a lot of brands have started stepping into D2C, direct to consumers, and that's booming and a very interesting arena to be in. Let's say if at this point of time, you have to give them three strong strategic advice, because considering today, you have to give them three strong strategy advice to all the D2C brands, what would that be?
So number one is take multiple payment options. So for example, in India, I believe COD is still really popular, right? Cash on delivery.
Yes, it is.
But have multiple payment options. When you take multiple payment options, for example, when we saw in India, if we also had PayPal, we saw roughly an 18% increase in revenue. So by adding multiple payment options, you quickly see more revenue. The second one is obsess about your product. See, in D2C, everyone believes that the way you make money is influencer marketing and SEO and email and all this kind of stuff. And that's true. But the way you build a massive commerce company is word of mouth marketing. The only way you're going to get word of mouth marketing is if your products are really amazing. So when people give you critiques or feedback saying they don't like this about your product or they want that change, if it's valid, don't take it offensive. Change it, fix it, make it better. And in the long run, that'll cause more referrals, right? Natural referrals of people just saying, hey, we need to recommend X, Y, and Z product from Surav or Neil or whatever it may be. And the third thing that you need to do is it's all about the follow-up. See, everyone optimizes in D2C for the first sale, but they don't optimize for the repeat purchases. If you look at Flipkart, you look at Amazon, you look at all the players that are jumping into the e-commerce market and have been there for many, many years. The way they make the majority of their revenue is not from a sale. They make it from you continually going back and purchasing over and over again. Now, do you use Amazon or do you use Flipkart? Which one do you use?
I use Amazon most case and Flipkart if there's a good offer.
Okay, so you use Amazon. How many times
Yeah.
have you purchased from Amazon?
Almost every other day, any need for that matter, be it even the green tea, if I have to order, I pick it from Amazon.
Okay, so
maybe
hundreds of times, right? Hundreds of times.
Yes, yes.
So the way they're making their money is not that you're purchasing once, you're purchasing over and over again. Now, in your D2C brand, you're not going to get someone to purchase hundreds of times like Amazon, but you can get them to purchase 3 times, 4 times, and it drastically changes your economics on your marketing and your ROI. It's cheaper to generate more revenue, and it's easier to do so from your existing customers than it is to go and acquire new customers. So focus on promotions for every major holiday, following up through text message and email, right? Adding more other ancillary products that you can upsell to your customers. These are all examples of how you get people to keep purchasing over and over again over the years.
Fantastic. I totally agree to all the 3 points that you have said. Retention marketing is the new cool and everybody's focusing on that. Which tool have you been using for your clients for activating omni-channel marketing for e-commerce or understanding the behavior of buyers and accordingly triggering content or communication to them? How do you do that?
Yeah, so there's not one tool. You use multiple tools. For email, you can use MailChimp. For SMS, you can end up using tools like ManyChat. Same with Messenger, you can use them as well. For SEO, there's a lot of tools out there, like Uber suggests, for example, is one, or even Google Search Console. You can, for paid advertising, you're going to want to use each platform directly. For social media management, you could end up using Buffer or Hootsuite or Sprout Social. The list goes on and on. You're going to end up using a wide variety of tools to get your omni-channel marketing done.
Awesome. So right now in India, there are tools which Zoho or WebEngage is trying to bring. And the objective of these tools are largely to have united channel communication strategy where all the channels are together and the triggers are happening through these. So do you have some tools like that which you believe is slowly picking up like a global trend, like how Uber suggests has picked up from a search perspective? Do you think any tool from that person, like how you said multiple different tools, but is there any one tool that you recommend?
Yeah, I haven't seen any one leader. If I had to pick one, it would be HubSpot. They continue to add features for every single channel. They're the most well-known and popular one that has been focusing on omni-channel before anyone else.
Right. Awesome. So Neil, I have seen one thing. I have met so many digital marketing agency heads and so many digital marketers, and I see them, they're very anxious people, anxiety, or they don't know how to keep their mind calm. What is your mantra, Neil, that you would tell them? What is that one thing that you do that you would recommend them to keep their mind calm? Because this is one of the most important things that I believe is a fix that is important in the life of a digital marketer.
So there's like a mantra that I go by and I believe, right? When things are going really well for you, there's always someone else out there who has it better than you. When things are going really bad for you, there's always someone out there who has it much worse than you. Now, on both ends, it's very important because what happens is when things start going well, people get too excited, they get caught up in the emotions, and they lift their foot off the gas pedal, and they don't think as clearly. They're on a high, and they think they're invincible, and nothing can affect them. On the flip side, when things going down, they're like, it's doomsday, end of the world, everything is over, life is over as we know it. And neither are actually true. You want to stay very level-headed so that way you can make clear, precise decisions.
Right. That's a very good thought, Neil, there. Neil, a lot of these young folks who are trying to become digital marketer, they get into digital marketing trying to get their hands dirty on everything possible. Let's say they do SEO for a year and then they want to do Google ads the second year, then they want to enter into Facebook ads. Now, what do you think? How important it is for someone to specialize in one of these and become master of that one subject? Because a lot of people are uncertain. They think that the industry, I need to be, they don't know, okay, if SEO is going to really be there 10 years down the line, or Google Ads is going to be there 10 years down the line. They want to learn everything possible. And sometimes I feel that that becomes a challenge in itself because they become jack of all trades and master of none. What is your take
Yeah.
on that?
It's better to be a master of one than it is to be a jack of all trades, because right now in marketing, people are hiring people who can specialize. So even though a company
Right.
knows that you need omni-channel, they're going to hire people to end up focusing on each and every single channel individually as they scale up and grow, because that's how you get the best results.
Right. So, how many years do you think a person should give to one industry before he shifts to another in digital marketing?
Industry or channel?
Let's say somebody is doing SEO or somebody is doing Facebook ads and he is specialized in Facebook ads. So, how many
You should
years do
just
you?
keep going as long as possible. So if you're doing Facebook ads, eventually you want to expand into all forms of paid ads on social media and even, let's say, maybe Google. But you would want to first conquer all the paid social ads. If you're doing SEO, eventually you want to figure out on-page SEO, link building, content. So it starts expanding here and there, but generally speaking, you want to keep going more in depth to all the other areas of marketing that affect your main concentration, like content affects SEO. If you're doing
Right.
paid social on Facebook, you need to learn Instagram too. You need to learn YouTube. You need to learn TikTok, and the list goes on and on.
Awesome. Some amazing thoughts up there. Um, a lot of digital marketers are trying to do everything on their own. Like they just, because there are many people becoming freelancers, how important it is to delegate. Delegation in the field of digital marketing to scale up. What is your thought there? And what is the advice that you would like to give to people?
Delegation is super important. If you don't delegate, eventually you won't be able to scale. When you delegate, you want to delegate to people who are better than you at that specific task. If you're not delegating to people who are better than you, then you're not doing the best job when it comes to hiring. See, if you have to teach someone how to do the job, you're hiring the wrong people.
Right. I totally agree.
The
Um,
key with delegation is you delegate to people who make it better than how you would have made it. In
right.
essence, they're improving.
I agree,
That's
Neil.
that's the key to being a great leader. You hire people who are better than you.
You hire people who are better than you. That's a perfect advice there. And I think it just changes a lot. I started doing that last 4 years and just helps you because you don't have to be involved much. I believe, Neil, digital marketing is a life skill more than just a marketing skill anymore. Considering after pandemic, it has become a mode of survival for many of them. And in fact, even for many business owners. What's your take? Do you think digital marketing is like a must have life skill today? What's your take on that?
No, I don't think it's a must-have life skill. You can hire. There's tons of digital marketers out there. I think you need to do digital marketing in your business. If it's a career path, you don't have to be a marketer. UX and design is just as important, or copywriting is just as important, or engineering is just as important. I wouldn't say one profession is more important than the other. It's more so you should do what you love and you're passionate about, because if you do what you love and you're passionate about, you're more likely to succeed at it because you're going to put in the time and effort and energy.
Right. I totally agree. Okay, Neil, since you study a lot about the global digital marketing trends, which country do you see is evolving in digital right now? And where do you think India is heading, according to your observation or analysis that you have possibly done?
So we see the majority of the countries evolving in digital. And I'll give you a prime example of this. In America now, you can end up getting fridges with monitors that are connected to the internet. So think about your fridge actually having a computer built in. Eventually, the fridge will order food for you and it'll have it delivered. It's not there yet, but that's where it's headed. Even in
Right.
India, look at the boom that's happened in digital marketing over the last, few years
Seven.
alone. It's drastically changed. The amount of big companies coming out of India is ridiculous. There's so many now. Um, and yeah, there's so much potential. I look at India as one of the fastest growing markets that have massive potential. And an easy way to see this is look where venture capital dollars are going. If you see where venture capital dollars are going, India, China, United States, a lot of parts of Latin America, but it's going around the whole globe. But if you see where the majority of venture capital dollars are going, those are the countries that have a ton of opportunity right now that are just booming.
Awesome. So if you're listening to us right now, let us know in the comment which country are you from. Neil, do you learn digital marketing every single day? If yes, what are your top resources? Where do you learn from? What do you read?
Yeah, so I don't learn digital marketing each and every single day. I learn it probably once every 2 to 3 days. I continually read blogs from Backlinko to Search Engine Land to Moz. The list goes on and on, the same ones that you would see. But I learn more actually by studying other players within my industry and other players outside of my industry that are doing unique marketing tactics. So, for example, just watching TV, I see a lot of D2C e-commerce ads. When I see those ads, a lot of times I'll check out their site, what they're doing, their Facebook ad library, and see what kind of campaigns they're running. But I learned by just looking at people in different spaces. Now, I don't own a D2C e-commerce company. I own an ad agency, NP Digital. And we're global. We're in India. We're in different parts of the world. And I learn by looking at other players in different industries. So I don't just look at, let's say, other ad agencies. I look at e-commerce companies, other service-based companies. I look at maybe a accounting company or a trash company. And you can learn on how all these companies are doing marketing and see if they're applicable to your industry.
Nice. Some good thoughts there. Okay, Neil, how do you define a life cycle of a digital marketer, personally and professionally?
So they're very similar, personally and professionally. You just go through different stages from learning about marketing, picking a field that you want to specialize in, mastering it. Then eventually you'll expand into more areas like SEO may expand into content. And then it pretty much starts all over again because once you start in content, you're learning to master it and it keeps rinse and repeating. But here's the big thing that people mess up in the whole life cycle. It's not how you perceive the life cycle. People mess up because after they master one thing, they stop. They don't continue to
Right.
try to learn more and improve themselves. And that's the demise of your career or your future. The moment you stop learning, the moment you think you know enough, is the moment that someone's going to eventually overtake you. Whether it's a competitor or someone else in your space or that role you're trying to get, you got to keep learning. Never assume that you know everything. You can always be better. You can always learn more. Even if someone is young and they're starting their career, you can always learn from them as well.
That's nice. Let me ask you a personal question, Neil. How spiritual are you as a person?
I'm not too spiritual.
Cool. I love you on that. You're amazing. Um, what are the three things you look when you hire a talent? I've asked this before too, but I always ask this because there's always something new from you when you answer this question.
So when I look to hire people, I look for a few things. One, do they work for other people in my industry, like competitors in the past? If they
Right.
did, great. Two, did they work there for a while? Because if they work there for a while, that means they're usually loyal. You want people who are loyal. Three, did they get promoted within that job at your competitors? Because if they got promoted, that means someone saw them as valuable. See, when you interview people, they're always saying, I did this. I'm the one who drove these results. I was the best person. You don't know if that's true or not. There's no way for you to really find out. But if they continually got promoted within that company, that means the company found them valuable and they were doing a good job. And if they worked at a few of your competitors and they got promoted in both those companies multiple times, that means both those companies found them very valuable. The chances are if you hire them, you'll find them valuable as well. Then I look for when you're interviewing them because they teach you new things. If they can teach you new things, that's a great sign. Then I also look for if they're a player coach. I don't want to hire people who are just managers. I also want to hire people who can execute and get their hands dirty. And last but not least, I want to make sure they're a cultural fit. If they're not a cultural fit, they're not going to last or do well in the company.
That's true. What if you don't find them cultural fit? You hire
Don't
them and you
hire
don't
them.
find. No, no. If you hire them and then you realize they're not cultural fit, what do you do?
You get rid of them. You fire them. Sadly, but it's true. You shouldn't have hired them in the first place.
That's true. I think that's a very important decision to take. That when they're not cultural fit, then you should fire them quickly. But what I really love is for a lot of people, they think when they join a digital marketing agency, millennials out there, they jump from one agency to another, or they just stay in an agency for a year. But what people look forward to when they're hiring you is how loyal are you, and how much growth have you shown inside in that particular role or in that particular company. And that's very important. Some really key takeaways from the master himself. Neil, what's your favorite dish and what are you making this morning in breakfast?
So I don't eat breakfast. I usually skip it, and will eat lunch. My favorite dish to eat for breakfast, or just in general?
Just in general.
Garlic naan. It's not really a dish, but it's my favorite food.
Garlic naan with what? Chicken, butter chicken.
It can be butter chicken or anything. I just love garlic naan. I can eat it all day.
Okay. And you said you skip your breakfast because you're doing intermittent fasting.
Correct. So I eat from 12 to 6.
12 to 6, and as much as you can, or just how is it?
No, I just eat lunch and dinner, so 2 meals.
And you don't hit gym, is what you told me last time.
No, I don't hit the gym, but I work out at home every morning. I do high
Awesome.
intensity interval training.
So, what are your values that you truly focus on? This was one of the most important questions which I missed. What are your values that you truly focus on?
Values in what aspect? Business, personal life, what aspect?
Um, let's say professionally, the values that you put across as the first thing. Whatever values are values, so it can be personal and
Yeah,
professional.
so
Yeah,
I'll always treat other people with respect. Doesn't matter, personal, professional. If you're not treating people with respect, doesn't matter who they are, what color their skin is, if they're male, female, whatever gender they may be, or you just got to treat people with respect. It's a shitty thing to treat other people crappy. You wouldn't want that to happen to you. Two, always be ethical. It's a lot of people will do what benefits them and they won't be ethical. And it's like, if something's not ethical, just don't do it, you know? Three, always think long term. A lot of people are very short sighted in business and even with their personal life decisions. You got to think very, very long term. I think that's how you do extremely well in the long run. The next thing that I would tell people is, look, no matter what you're doing in life, whether it's personal or professional, you got to love what you're doing. What's the point of doing something in life if you don't love it? Life is short. Everyone says, oh, you got to do stuff that makes you the most money or whatnot. Cut back on your expenses. It's
right,
okay spending less money. It's better to do what you love than just doing what makes you money.
right. Some good thoughts there. How much time do you spend on your phone every single day, Neil?
Oh, that's a lot. I don't know what the time is, but I charge my phone at least twice a day.
So your screen time is at least 6 hours a day?
Probably, I know I talk at least on the phone, if I had to guess, at least 4 or 5 hours on phone calls.
Yes, thanks. I thought I'm the only person who's addicted to my phone. And how do you see future of Instagram? Because you're on
I
Instagram right now.
I think Instagram eventually will be a much bigger platform than Facebook itself or Meta. It'll be the main platform. It's a much better social network than Facebook is. I know this is the
Right,
same company, but if you look at what a lot of people use, it's easier to use on your phone, less clutter, it's simplistic, it's a better way to connect. You get much more engagement, not just as a marketer, but as an individual. If you're just looking to connect with people, there's much more engagement on Instagram that we're seeing than you can get on Facebook.
right. Neil, if there's a discipline to follow with respect to your personal brand, what it is that you have been doing consistently, regardless of what?
So you're saying, is there a discipline that I follow to grow my personal brand? Is that what you're
Yes,
asking?
yes,
Do it for a long time. Keep giving value, but you can't achieve it within 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. You got to think 10 plus year horizon. And most people don't, but that's how you win. You just think very long term. Keep giving value. No one's going to evangelize you and follow you over what they hear just on one video or one live stream. But if you continually help people out and you do what's best for others and you genuinely care to help people, in the long run, you'll build your personal brand.
wow, cool. And last question of the evening. What is that one thing you don't like about digital marketing industry?
Uh, the one thing I don't like, but I can't change it, is the platforms have so much control.
True. They just
And
change overnight, right?
yeah, they can change overnight and it can crush so many businesses. And what I mean by this is like, I've seen, like a single mother, have a business and be able to provide for her family because of Facebook. And then Facebook changes her algorithm and then she can't pay her rent the next few months and then she's in trouble, right? And it kind of sucks.
Right. It's so very good thought actually. I sometimes feel that we just manipulated by these platforms every other day, and they control our thoughts. We just don't know when things may just change. All right, Neil, this was a great 34-minute session with you. I have to tell this that there's always so much to learn. So when I sent a message to Neil that we are doing this session, so Neil replied, "Yes, let's do it." And yesterday I said, Neil, the topic is gonna be a little intense, and I'm going to send you questions. Neil said, "I don't need questions. It's a live session. Let's keep it live." So this is just not scripted. It just doesn't know what questions are coming next. But I like the promptness, and you just answered it with so much of insight. It shows the amount of experience that you have. It's always pleasure connecting with you, Neil. It's always pleasure learning from you. Thank you for taking your time out, and lots of love to your children and to your family. Have a great day today.
You too, and thank you very much for doing this. And for everyone who took the time to attend, really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy day. I know you guys didn't have to be here, so we both appreciate that as well.